Ladies and gentlemen, today, the men and women of the United States Space Force, in keeping with one of the oldest traditions of military service, pay special tribute to the Chief of Space Operations, General B. Chance Saltzman, on the occasion of his retirement. The presiding official for today's ceremony is the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. For today's ceremony, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has deferred honors to the Chief of Space Operations. Please remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaplain Trent Davis will now deliver the invocation.
Will you please bow with me in prayer? Almighty God, we gather today to celebrate the magnificent career and faithful service of General Saltzman. As he stands at this historic threshold of retirement, we look back and give thanks for his timely and extraordinary leadership. From his early days as a missileader to his call today as Chief of Space Operations, we praise you for the wisdom, bold vision, and pioneering spirit he is led by. As we look around this room today, we thank you for the amazing people you have gathered around him. Thank you for Jennifer and their amazing family, who continue to stand as his unwavering foundation and shield. Thank you for friends across every season and colleagues who stood shoulder to shoulder, armed with strength to help bear the weight of the mission. Lord, you uniquely equipped him to shape our nation's newest service. He understood that true strength does not lie in the machines we build or the orbits we track, but in the extraordinary people who wear the uniform. He has truly led, amplifying the guardian spirit, unleashing the brilliant creativity of our people, inspiring them to reach their higher purpose. For a leader who spent a lifetime looking to the vast heavens, may his next chapter be filled with your promise that those who lead, many justly, will shine like the stars forever and ever. May this new horizon bring both Jennifer and him great happiness, adventure, and the deep satisfaction of a mission exceptionally well done. And may the legacy of character, connection, commitment, and courage he so faithfully cultivated continue to guide those who remain on watch, looking always above. This we pray in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. We would like to extend a special welcome to General Saltzman's family, his wife, Jennifer, General Saltzman's son, John, and his wife, Macy Kate, his daughter, Sarah, and her boyfriend, Nick Torres, General Saltzman's parents, Mr. Randy and Belinda Saltzman, his mother-in-law, Miss Sandy Peterson. We would also like to welcome our congressional, international, and government agency leaders, our industry partners, and our current and former Department of War senior leaders. Lastly, a special thanks to the dozens of family members and friends from Wisconsin, Minnesota, Kentucky, New England, Florida, Texas, Colorado, Georgia, and those from around the world who have traveled many miles to be here today. Ladies and gentlemen, General Kane.
Well, here we are. I only have 48 pages of remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this incredible day. And on behalf of the President and the Secretary of War, Salty, welcome to your graduation. I was just in the Oval right before coming out here, and the President handed me the world's largest coin for Salty, so I delivered that. But he extends his thanks to you and your family on an incredible career. Salty, Jennifer, your kids, leaders from all over the world, former chiefs, former CSOs, secretaries, members of Congress, teammates, good afternoon, and thank you for letting me be a part of this today, Salty. I'm deeply, deeply honored because I get to recognize not just a world-class leader, but a world-class human as you graduate from this chapter in your service to the next one. And it's an honor on behalf of 2.8 million members of the all-volunteer force to honor Salty and his incredible bride, Jennifer, and their kids after 35 years, 2 months, so far 29 days, 13 hours, 6 minutes, and 40 seconds of service. Today isn't about retirement, it's about celebrating you, Chance, the Space Force's very own Old Salt. Your incredible gift of leadership and service to our Space Force, but equally important, the Joint Force. Salty, leaders like you, my friend, you never really retire. You just move to the next chapter in your incredible book of life and your incredible book of service. And I can tell you that the next chapter, I know this personally, is awesome. So don't screw it up. And I consider myself fortunate today to have had the chance for many, many, many years, which I'll talk about a little bit later, to witness your leadership in shaping not just the Space Force, but shaping the Joint Force. And the investment that the nation has put in you, you've given back to the nation in spades. But the quality and life of careers of guardians, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, members of the Coast Guard, and civilians have all been tangibly touched directly by your service and your selflessness. But before I go on, I want to recognize the most important people here today who served right along with you for these so many years. As I look across the room, I see incredible people from every chapter of your book of life. A journey that began with your folks right here in the front row, Mr. and Mrs. Saltzman, high school sweethearts who are celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary this November. That is awesome. And you answered the call, sir, when your nation asked you to serve when you joined the Army in 1969 during the Vietnam War. Your son was born while you were in the Army, and when Chance was just 11 months old, you packed up your family, both of you, and you moved to Taiwan because that's what the nation asked the Saltzman family to do. Now, I used to think some PCS's moves are difficult, and I'll try to speak English and not acronyms for all the people who are here. So moving is tough, but I cannot think, ma'am, difficult PCS than crossing the Pacific with an infant Salty in your care. Except maybe when that tour ends just a couple years later, and now you have to cross the Pacific with a toddler Salty. And when you think about Salty as a toddler, that's a horrific place to go. Sir, ma'am, when you spend 5 minutes with your son, you see the foundation of character that is in him. We all know where he got that foundation of character. So thank you both for your time in the service of this country. Thank you both for the character that you instilled in your son. Congratulations on 58 years of marriage, and a round of applause for Salty's folks. Next, I get to talk about some incredible humans, Sarah, John, and John's wife, Macy Kate. Thank you for being here today. More importantly, thank you for the incredible gifts of service that you both have given this nation. Your dad is incredibly proud of both of you. And I'll spend time talking about your mom and dad in a minute. But when he talks about you, he lights up. You are by far, along with your mom, his most important accomplishment in life. There is no doubt how much your dad loves you. He's so proud of you, John, your career in sports marketing. We sometimes hear it in this room called the tank down there when he's talking about your life, and he's excited for the life that you and your bride are creating. And he's so proud of you, Sarah, not just because you're a brilliant painter, but because of the young woman that you've become and the way that you lead your life. For the two of you military kids, man, that ain't no easy thing. You move around, you have to make new friends, you don't know what life is going to bring you, but it brings you an incredible set of resilient skills that give you the selfless tools to lead in your own and unique way. And on behalf of all of us, thank you, John, Macy, Kate, and Sarah, and a round of applause for these amazing humans. Most of all, Miss Jennifer, thank you, the First Lady of the Space Force. You have been Chance's partner for a long, long time. Thank you for that. All the way back to Bowling Green when young Chance was just a young second lieutenant waiting to go on active duty. Together, the two of you have not just raised these two incredible humans, but you've taught them together how to be people of character and to do something more important than themselves. And I know you've spent time teaching, coaching. We know you have a better sports record than Salty does as a coach in basketball. But I also know, and I say this with a loving heart, that as you packed up your house this month for the last time in a long time, at least in your military service after 34 years, you are going to get a garage because you're not going to have to fill your garage with all the Christmas ornaments that you have. For 34 plus years, my friend, you've served alongside your husband. The deployments, the late night calls, the remote tour when we asked Salty to go overseas, the long hours at the weapons school. And along the way, you have so beautifully and selflessly invested in the airmen and now the guardians who've come across your life. You do it, I just watched you do it down into the holding room. You do it nonstop. You have a special talent for all of us that have been able to spend time with you on making that person who you are talking to feel like there is nobody else in the world more important at that moment than that person. They feel appreciated and heard. And the impact that you've had on Space Force families will outlive your time for a long, long, long time. You've given so much to not just the Space Force, not just the Department of the Air Force, but the Joint Force, more than many will ever know. So on behalf of those airmen that you touched early in your career, those guardians that you've touched now and will continue to touch, and on behalf of the rest of the Joint Force, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Jennifer. Bravo. Now, my friend, comes the fun part for me. The Joint Chiefs and I have been working on this for months and months and months and months. An asker of the most beautiful questions, and I say that with incredible respect and gratitude. I'm going to talk about you because it's your graduation day, but it's never, ever been about you. For as long as I've known you, it's always been about the mission and the people. But today we're going to have to make it just a little bit about you. A graduate of the incredible, highly regarded academic institution, the Bowling Green High School Purples. Stand up. Stand up if you're here. Stand up, Bowling Green High School Purples. That's what we're talking about. Tells you how connected the Saltzmans are. Thanks for making the trip today, by the way. Coming out of high school, you were not sure what you were going to do, but you knew deep, deep down inside you wanted to go to Boston. Your heart was set on it, and I know truly today that what you were really trying to do is to get that Boston schnizzle out of your system and become a Yankees fan. So we welcome you into that tribe today, Salty. You also knew you needed to pay for it. So you made the first wise decision of your life, and you pursued an Air Force ROTC scholarship. And the Air Force got it right. So you could pursue a degree in physics? Really? Salty in physics? And after that first semester, thanks in no part to the influence of your fellow ROTC cadets, many of whom also went off to be general officers in the Space Force, the town of Boston, the members of the class of 91, any of them here? Stand up, even if you're the one dude. There you go. Ah! Look who it is. Look who it is. What a shock to see them here. Well, you made the second wise decision of your life, and you became a history major. All kidding aside, from your earliest days, my friend, you've been the kind of leader that intuitively seeks to sense and understand the big problems and make history of your own. You've been integrating space capabilities all the way back to the beginning. As a young Captain Saltzman was a student out at the weapons school, Mecca, as many of us call it, the center of the tactical universe, in the high deserts of Nevada, north of Las Vegas, where young apprentices come to become Jedis, and where the motto, Sempre Supra, I think was really began and founded, and where my favorite Space Force motto was defeated in the vote as I advocated for in your face from outer space. I'm still pushing that, Mr. Secretary, a little bit. And a place where some might say Salty was, quote, home of the fighter pilots. In fact, just like the sign says, right, Salty? For those that have never been out to Nellis Air Force Base, as you drive onto the base, right there at the right side is a tired old stone with beautiful airplanes climbing out of it. The home of the fighter pilot is right there at the base of this statue. It's got steel silhouettes climbing out of the rocks, showing the topside view of America's greatest fighters right there. And as a member of the second class of weapons school students, space and missile operations officers, to ever attend the weapons school, you felt deep down, Salty, very deep down, that Nellis was no longer just for fighter pilots. So you made a decision, another decision, a bold decision. Some may say daring, some may say high stakes, some may say something else. And for those of you that do not know, Salty led, this is his warrior culture, Salty led a midnight raid, quietly, clandestinely, out to that sign. But there were problems as he began to change the sign. I have in front of me the police record. I will remind you that the sign is lit by giant spotlights. Captain Reeves, Saltzman, Captain Jackson attempted to covertly and clandestinely infiltrate to the sign where they were apprehended. A crack team of saboteurs attempting to swap the sign out. And despite all the excessive training that space and missile operators get on ground movements, which is absolutely zero, just imagine a young Salty in a flight suit, his scarf tied around his head, as he and his two compadres tiptoed to this sign to attempt to change history, again, under the big-ass spotlights. The Air Force security forces, crackerjack as they are, followed this not-so-clandestine exfiltration back to the student dorms, where he made yet another third wise decision and came out with his hands up and instantly made the blotter, where I think he was bailed out. It's that same boldness, though, that allowed the force to handpick you to be an instructor right after you graduated from that program. And it was there that you began to build the warfighting culture and capability of our Space Force. Is General Moorhead here, by the way? I think he bailed us both out of different things during this period of time. You are the definition, though, of what the weapons school stands for. You spent your career, even up to this week, teaching, leading future leaders, not just in the space domain, but in every domain. You're an incredibly humble human, credible, approachable. You still, to this day, embrace those perfect ethos of humility, credibility, and approachability. Later at Vandenberg, on the floor of the JOC, the Chinese conducted their first anti-satellite missile test in 2007, and you began a different journey where you had the vision to see that this was a pivot point, and the United States needed to think boldly and differently about operating in space. And since that first tour out there, you've been shaping the future of the Space Force before it even existed. Your fingerprints, along with a few others in this room, are all over this force, are all over this service, just like they were on that sign at Nellis, by the way. But you learn that empowering and trusting your people is an extraordinary return on their investment. And because at your core, you believed in space capabilities, you also believed in the raw talent of great American leadership. One of the things that stands out about me is when you were chosen to be the deputy commander at Air Forces Central. And it wasn't that you were just chosen to go out there and be the first ever non-aviator to do that job, Salty. It was the way that you got ready to go do that job. We were watching to see how you did that. And you did it magnificently. became a learning leader. You listened, processed, and understood how to employ air and space fires at scale. And frankly, I think it made us better having a Space Force leader or future Space Force leader in that seat. It was incredibly powerful to watch you get ready for that assignment, and you crushed it. And your ability to connect with that team, your genuine, authentic interest in their advice, your ability to be receptive to things that you had not yet seen in this incredible journey that you were already on was extraordinary, and you made the service, you made the region safer. It's that same trust and vision, Salty, that became the foundation of the legacy that you continue today. As the second Chief of Space Operations, you put incredible trust in your people, standing room only today. Not just in your service, but in the Joint Force. You stood up the service component commands. You empowered guardians to support combatant commanders in entrepreneurial ways. You forged a path together with our most trusted allies, many of which are here today, and integrated them into space operations at the point that space leaders are contemplating plans and activities, not at the point of crisis or conflict. You've set the standard all the way back to your time as a captain on what beautiful integration looks like. Not just between the military services, but between the military and the private sector. You've scaled production across both. You've brought rapid technologies into the Space Force, and you've laid out a clear and unambiguous vision for what your service needs to look like in the future. Its culture, its purpose, its doctrine, and you've empowered leaders along the way in a selfless, real, meaningful way. Because of you, my friend, the Space Force has achieved incredible things on your watch. But for the leader, the human that you are, you've set the conditions for the Space Force to achieve incredible things after your watch is over. It is now a combat-capable force at scale. It's a key and essential component within our services. And you personally, as the Chief of Space Operations, have brought incredible intellect to the most bespoke and difficult questions that present themselves before the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You ask beautiful questions. You ask the most essential questions. Whether it be operations across Rough Rider in Yemen, Midnight Hammer, Absolute Resolve, Epic Fury, your Space Force Guardians have secured the ultimate high ground, ensuring that we have options when the President or the nation needs them. Our Guardians could do all these things that you've asked them to do because you and your leadership team have empowered them to do that. It has been extraordinary to watch you lead during this chapter. Salty and Jennifer, thank you both for your last 35 years of incredibly selfless service to our nation. You have done your fair share of the task, and you have run through the tape. The investment that you both have made into our nation's Space Force will continue to generate a return for a long, long, long time. So again, on behalf of the President and the Secretary of War and the 2.8 million members of the Joint Force, thank you. Thank you very much. And before I close, may we always remember those Guardians, airmen, soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guard men and women and civilians that are out there deployed right now while we're in this incredible space doing our nation's business. And may we never, ever, ever forget those members of the Joint Force who've made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our nation, and their families who continue every day to show us what true courage and grit looks like. Salty, my brother, you are a world-class human, you're a world-class leader, and you're an incredibly beloved member of the Joint Chiefs. Congratulations on your graduation. Congratulations on your graduation and yours and yours. Semper Super, my friend. Thank you very much.
Please rise as General Kane presents General Saltzman with the Defense Distinguished Service Medal. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Defense Distinguished Service Medal to B. Chance Saltzman. General B. Chance Saltzman, United States Space Force, distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service in a duty of great responsibility as the Chief of Space Operations from 2 November 2022, 31 October 2026. General Saltzman transformed the United States Space Force into a combat-credible service, indispensable to joint force victory over Iran, Venezuela, and threats to the homeland. He launched the service's warfighting culture, creating the strategy of competitive endurance and the Space Force Generation Initiative, arming Guardians for success in combat. He seamlessly grafted the reserve component into the active force, blazing a trail for other services to follow. General Saltzman aligned the Space Force with every other armed force, forging Space Force component commands assigned to all combatant commanders to accomplish warfighting objectives. He boosted basic military training for the enlisted force, building the Space Force's unique culture and competence, and supercharged officer training to develop Guardian officers capable of leading every Space Force function and mission. Through relentless engagement with Congress and the American public, he quadrupled the Space Force budget to over $70 billion and cemented the service as a cornerstone of national security. Finally, as the ranking member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Saltzman provided expert military advice to the highest levels of government, covering the entire spectrum of military missions, including major combat operations. The distinctive accomplishments of General B. Chance Saltzman culminated a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Space Force, and the Department of War. Please remain standing as General Kane retires General Saltzman. Department of the Air Force, Washington, District of Columbia, order number 000067, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force, General Saltzman is retired from active duty effective 31 October 2026 after more than 35 years of faithful and honorable duty. Please be seated. General Kane will now present General Saltzman's spouse, Mrs. Jennifer Saltzman, with the Space Force retirement pin to pin on General Saltzman. Please rise as General Kane will now present Mrs. Saltzman with the Department of War Distinguished Public Service Award. Mrs. Jennifer Saltzman is hereby awarded the Decoration for Distinguished Public Service for exceptional and meritorious service to the United States Space Force and the Department of War. Mrs. Saltzman distinguished herself through her strategic engagement in separate national security forums hosted by the Secretary of War and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. As a member of the Arlington Ladies Governing Board, she honored the fallen with dignity, ensuring no service member was laid to rest alone. Simultaneously, she was a pivotal force in driving change. From her work as a board member rebranding the Air and Space Forces Aid Society to championing local initiatives into command-recognized models for military family support. Working closely with organizations such as the Easter SEALs and Blue Star Families, she broke down barriers to vital services while she simultaneously connecting support organizations to address a broader range of needs. Her authentic leadership, which seamlessly blended strategic insight with personal acts of compassion and service, directly enhanced the well-being and resilience of members and families throughout the Joint Force. Mrs. Saltzman's selfless dedication and profound contributions reflect great credit upon herself, her family, the United States Space Force, and the United States of America. Please be seated. General Kane will now present Mrs. Saltzman with a certificate of appreciation from the Department of the Air Force. It reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Jennifer Saltzman for the commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service, given this first day of November 2026. General Kane will now present General and Mrs. Saltzman's children, John and Sarah, letters of appreciation from the 24th Chief of Staff of the Air Force, General Ken Wilsbach. The letters read, "Dear John, as your dad retires after an extraordinary military career, I want to recognize your part in that journey. Military children don't volunteer for their lifestyle, yet they serve in ways many people never see. You grew up moving from base to base, attending 6 schools before graduating from high school, making new friends, adapting to new communities, and finding your footing. That kind of resilience stays with a person. Through all those moves, you excelled in school, competed in basketball, soccer, and golf, and built the foundation for the career you've created today. Your success at the University of Missouri and now in sports marketing reflects the determination and work ethic your parents helped instill. I know your parents couldn't be more proud of the man you've become. That pride is well-deserved. Thank you for the sacrifices you made throughout your family's years of service. They mattered more than you probably realized at the time. Congratulations to your entire family. Cindy and I wish you continued success and happiness in the years ahead." Dear Sarah, as your father retires from military service, I want to take a moment to thank you for the sacrifices you made growing up in a military family. Your journey wasn't an easy one. 9 schools, 4 different middle schools, and arriving at a brand new high school for your senior year would challenge anyone. Yet, through every move, you continued to excel academically, compete in soccer and volleyball, and embrace each new opportunity with resilience and determination. Military families ask a great deal of their children. Every PCS means starting over, making new friends, and adjusting to another new community. Those experiences shape remarkable young adults, and your parents have every reason to be proud of the person you've become. I'm sure your experiences growing up in an Air Force family helped shape your decision to build a career supporting the defense industry. You are continuing a tradition of service in your own way, and our nation benefits from talented professionals like you. Cindy and I congratulate your entire family on this well-earned milestone. We wish you continued success in Denver and hope this next chapter brings your family many opportunities to spend time together. Sincerely, Kenneth S. Wilsbach, General, United States Air Force, Chief of Staff. Thank you, General Kane. John and Sarah, you may be seated. Great leaders build more than just effective institutions. They build an enduring legacy. A key part of the legacy we now forge in the Space Force is the living chronicle of our service, the CSO Legacy Shield. This artifact was established to be our service's testament to the unbroken chain of leadership that guides us. It's a tradition that ensures the story of each chief is woven into the permanent fabric of our history. This shield before you, shaped in the iconic Delta worn by our Guardians, hangs in the Pentagon. It is a symbol designed to build over the years into a collection, a visible reminder of the leaders who have guided the Space Force. The tradition itself is profound. General Saltzman, please join the Vice Chief of Space Operations, General Sean Bratton, at the front of the room. As each Chief of Space Operations departs, he or she removes their personal numbered delta from the shield. After signing it, that delta is placed into a permanent orbit around the larger one, creating a growing constellation of leadership for all to see. Sir, your leadership has guided this service with a steady hand and a clear vision. It is now time to commemorate your immense contribution. It is my distinct honor to ask you to sign your delta and take your permanent and honored place in the legacy of the United States Space Force. The Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Troy Mink, will now present a gift to General Saltzman on behalf of the men and women of the Department of the Air Force.
I only got 48 words, not pages. So, hey, thanks, Jennifer, Salty. Congratulations. I know you've been, by a lot of the pictures I get, really looking forward to this day. So, but I just want to say I signed that retirement order in protest. As you know, I actually tried a number of times, even with Jennifer, to get him to extend a little bit. But after the last time I tried it and the look I got, I decided I probably should stop trying and just be good with it and give in and go ahead and sign it. So I did, but I'm definitely going to miss you. Hey, and Doug, I know you're standing right there. I am much more happy that you are now most of the way through the process to become the new Chief of Space Operations. So I feel much, much better now. So that's great. So just a couple things before I give the gift. Again, I've known Salty quite a while. I first met him back in, I think it was 2012, 2013, when he was commander of the missile warning mission out at Buckley, and then worked closely with him a number of times since then. One of the things I didn't know was that he has essentially been in the Pentagon since 2017. The first thing that comes to mind when I hear that is that's like cruel and unusual punishment, right? I mean, that's just, I get a lot of people shaking their heads that have experienced something like that. It's a great place to work. I don't know about that many years, but he's done a phenomenal job. But the second thing that comes to mind is, that was right before there was really serious talk about standing up the Space Force. That was during the stand-up of the Space Force. That was General Raymond's right-hand guy after the Space Force was stood up. And then that is leading the Space Force for the last 4 years. There is nothing going on in the Space Force today that Salty was not behind in one form or another. And I've just been thoroughly impressed. I've obviously been working really closely with him for the last couple of years, but worked pretty closely with him prior to that, and it's been super impressive. And just some of the metrics. The chairman mentioned a couple of them. The standing up how we squirt combat commands, right? That is not a trick. Just getting the billets, getting them in place, the details and making that happen are extremely challenging. How we assess, train, and even evaluate Guardians, right? That all has to be figured out. And then, everybody is championing. I think we've made good progress. Salty's made great progress in actually growing the Space Force. But how do you actually build the infrastructure to absorb all those Guardians? All that is just the hard details that have to be worked through to make the Space Force grow and become operationally effective going forward in the future. It has been super impressive for me to watch. Budgets increasing significantly. If there's anybody from the Hill here, budgets increasing significantly for the Space Force going forward, which represents the importance that the nation is putting, the growing importance the nation is putting on the Space Force. I think we probably an order of magnitude increase the number of satellites and capacity we're launching under Salty's leadership. When you were out at Vandenberg, I mean, it was Sleepy Hollow out there. There's a handful of launches a year when you're at Vandenberg. Now it's like LAX, right? Which is great as a space person, as many of us are, but the infrastructure and the challenges in making that happen just take an immense amount of work, and Salty has been driving that for years, and it will be driving it until the last day you're in office. So that's just fantastic. But what does that all mean? And again, the chairman alluded to that more succinctly than I can. And I've been thinking about this a lot, but I've been in space a long time. Space has been critical to national security and economic security for decades. No question about it. What is happening now, it is becoming a critical warfighting or combat function, right? That is not a simple thing to do to make that transition, and it's critical for our national security going forward. And I've watched Salty do this for years, and I've been, again, super, super impressed. So thank you very much. It's been great working with you the last couple of years, both the advice, counseling, the poking that I get from you now and again, which I super appreciate. And I actually do. I wasn't that. I was serious. And then Jennifer, you have helped Gene and I immensely, sharing your house with this one. I don't have a place to actually host guests, all the way to what we're doing at work. So I really can't thank you much enough for that. But I got one last thing. So I did get a gift, and as you know, I've spent most of my career either building or launching or operating space stuff, rockets or launch or spacecraft themselves. And so the gifts I love to give is actually hardware, right? Space hardware, and I'm scrounging. So I know there's a few contractors in here. If you have any leftover space hardware, we're still scrounging the enterprise, putting together a larger set of things that I want to provide. But we did get one already, and it's pretty interesting, and I think you'll get a kick out of it. And it kind of represents. And one of the things I've been super impressed working with Salty is a lot of pressure, a lot of dynamics in the environment we work in, a lot of heat, and he just seems to just very calmly, just much more calmly than I do, just kind of shed it off. Matter of fact, he's a calming force within the front office, and I really appreciate it. So this kind of represents being able to shed the heat and keep operating. So here we go.
The Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, John Bentivegna, will now present a gift on behalf of the enlisted force.
So, Ms. Jennifer, General Saltzman, I have the privilege to represent the enlisted men and women of the Space Force today. You know, sir, to carry on the chairman's theme, as you graduate today into retirement, the next phase of your life, this morning we graduated 98 new enlisted guardians into the Space Force. And you know, just a few days ago, they were given their Space Force patches, the patches they wear on their OCPs. And those patches were worn by other guardians on operations floors, in business meetings, in classrooms, and those patches are given to the brand new guardians to welcome them onto the team with a handwritten note of encouragement. So we thought it only fitting, as you graduate into retirement, that we were to give you some things that your guardians have worn with some words of wisdom. If you just turn it around, please, to show. So there's a plaque on it, sir. I'm going to read it for you. It says, to General Saltzman, These stripes are from your guardians. The words are for you. As guardians, our greatest strength is our connection to one another. This is the advantage of our small service and the foundation of our culture. These stripes were worn by your guardians, worn with pride and shaped by service. They stood watch on operations floors, endured long hours in the classroom, and they marched proudly in formation. The handwritten notes are a personal expression of gratitude from the guardians that you inspired. Together, they offer something no award can capture, a lasting reminder of the people and the lives that you have touched. Thank you for your vision, your leadership, and your trust. Semper Supra.
Ladies and gentlemen, General B. Chance Saltzman, United States Space Force, retired!
Thank you. Chairman, those were lies. No existing proof. That blotter can't possibly be real. For about 5 minutes, there was a satellite silhouette on the Nella sign. Thanks for being here. How many people have friends that say, hey, I was just over in the Oval Office and now I'm here? Pretty cool. To say it's overwhelming is definitely a gross understatement, no doubt. I'm humbled, touched, a little emotional. There's really no words that accurately express what I'm feeling. So my plan is just to keep it simple, keep it direct, stay to my remarks here, and give me a little grace, I'll get through it. First and toughest, Jennifer, thank you for everything. None of this is possible without you. I love you. Thanks. John, Sarah, thanks for being awesome throughout this journey and for turning into amazing adults. It was a little touch and go for a while, but you came through. You came through. I'm kidding. Someday you'll come through. Mom, Dad, Sandy, thanks for amazing support. You've always been there for us, unconditionally. Pretty amazing. Thank you. And for the rest of you, I mean, I like you, but your efforts pale in comparison to theirs. And so I'll just leave it at a simple but sincere thanks. I'm not going to call you all out by name. We would be here all day. But because maybe everybody in the room doesn't know everybody else, I would like to describe this group for a little bit. In addition to my immediate family, as was mentioned, we have extended family here from Minnesota, Wisconsin, Texas, Georgia, Kentucky, of course. Jennifer and I are so happy that you're here. Thank you for being here. And there's some Bowling Green Hive purples here. It's in the crowd. Jennifer and I grew up with these hooligans, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So happy that you're here. We got friends from Boston University here. And then for my high school and college friends, can we please keep the stories to PG? There are many here that think I'm a respected military professional. Several of the original gangsters from our first assignment in Montana are here. Hooligans. What a journey since Great Falls. I've got many fellow weapons officers in attendance. Where are the weapons officers? It's hard to imagine any group more fitting of my respect. On the one hand, this is a group of military experts feared by our adversaries. And on the other hand, this is the zaniest characters and malcontents you've ever come across. And for both those reasons, I love you all. I've got SAS classmates here, teammates from 29 years in the Air Force, international industry partners. Obviously, there's an amazing group of guardians here, fellow members of the Joint Chiefs. Each and every one of you have played a role in my life and career. You've made the journey for Jennifer and I fun, fulfilling, rich, exciting, and memorable. I certainly have benefited from your friendship, mentoring, and support for decades, in large and small ways, public and private, personal and professional. I owe everyone in this room a deep debt of gratitude. I'll be forever grateful. Thank you. But now for some reflections, if you'll indulge me for a little bit. I've learned a few things along the way, and I think I'd be remiss if I didn't pass along a few observations. Being a part of this military family for nearly 35 years has exposed me to perspectives, sights, sounds, places, ideas, frustrations, skills, elations, and personalities that I never would have experienced otherwise. There are a few of us here who can immediately recall the smell of an ICBM launch control center. And they're right now getting shivers and sweating a little bit for having thought of that. There's some here that are familiar with the take your breath away Qatari heat. There are those that know the dull and unique pain that creeps in behind your eyes after watching too many PowerPoint slides. But there are also some here that can remember the smile we generate when we make a promotion notification, or the thrill when we see the light bulb come on in one of our students, or the pride and relief of mission complete, no casualties. I never intended to be here. This wasn't really a deliberate career choice. Quite frankly, it was just a job after college. In fact, back then it was impossible to aspire to this job because it just didn't exist until 7 years ago. But that first job turned into a second one, and I got addicted to working with smart and dedicated people, and I just kept on taking challenges. My first 10 years, in fact, were characterized by ignoring career advice. After half of the ICBM wings were closed, I found an opportunity to join the National Reconnaissance Office, and I was told that that would be a career killer because it was outside the Air Force and too secretive to really get credit for your work. So I jumped at it. From there, I thought about going to the weapons school because they had recently established the Space Division. And I was told that that would derail my career because we didn't know how to handle space guys in the combat air forces and that the fighter pilots wouldn't take you seriously. So I jumped at it. I jumped at the chance to go to Nellis and the weapons school. And that's where I learned about warfighting and met some of the most important network of professionals that I've ever come to know. From all backgrounds, I have close friends that are fighter, bomber, airlift pilots, special operators, RPA pilots, helicopter rescue pilots, intel officers, air battle managers, not to mention the world's greatest space operators. And those were pre-9/11 days. We worked closely to understand how we would all work together in an integrated fashion when we were called up. And then 9/11 happens, and we were called up. Like many others, I deployed to fight the terrorists. For my part, I secured our nation from the central coast of California at Vandenberg, now Space Force Base, but somebody had to do it. From 2001 to 2005, I was an instructor at the weapons school, a student at ACSC, and SAS. And this is the period I think about now where I learned how to think, how to test assumptions, shift perspective, derive first principles, frame issues, structure arguments, and draw conclusions. Many of the people that contributed to this learning are in this room today. You know who you are. I can't thank you enough. honestly, being in the military is like having a job where 50% of the time you say, I can't believe I get paid to do this. And the other 50% of the time you say, I don't get paid enough for this shit. I think it's 50-50. But standing up the Space Force over the last 7 years has been precisely that. But it's a nice mix. It keeps you humble, but it also encourages you and motivates you to keep going. And we've had to spend a lot of our energy explaining the Space Force while simultaneously exerting a monumental effort just to build the Space Force. And in this vein, it seems relevant to tell the audience today kind of a story, remind everyone that in 1994, the invention of the year went to the widget that they put in a can of Guinness to help you carbonate the beer when you open it. You know what I'm talking about? That was the top invention of the year. Actually, I agree with that. It was amazing. But second place that year was the internet. It's a reminder that sometimes the world doesn't care as much as they should because they just don't quite understand. So when it's important, I think we have a duty to make sure they understand. And I feel good about what we've accomplished, and I feel proud about the role that I've taken in moving things forward for the Space Force. And when I reflect on my success and on the success of the other Guardians, which frankly I claim a bit too much responsibility for, the historian in me does come out. I remember learning about Roman generals. I didn't learn this in a physics class, by the way. I remember learning about Roman generals and how they paraded in triumph through the streets of Rome when thousands of cheering citizens lined up to honor them. And always right behind the general was a man posted there to whisper over and over in the conquering general's ear, "Memento mori," "Memento mori," which means, remember, you just die. Think about that. It's a reminder to the Roman generals that all of the fanfare and accomplishments are fleeting, and that in the end, he's just a person like any other. It was a reminder to help them avoid turning victory into arrogance. A reminder not to focus on accomplishments, but to focus on living a good life. Now, having lived in the military life and being committed to helping those who remain behind, I'd like to offer some advice that comes from the lessons I've learned along the way. First, if you want to build something worthwhile, be ready for criticism, which is easy to say, but when it's coming from all angles and all forms, intentional, unintentional, constructive, mean-spirited, and relentless, it can be draining. But it's an indicator that the thing you're building is worthwhile, which is quite literally worth it, I think. Second, not everything